Bye, Dante.
Hey, try not to suck any
Franks.
on the way through the parking lot. Hey, you, get back here.
What is up? Welcome into the Double FU, the FU times 2, the fantasy football universe. I am Jeremy. This is Ryan. We are your fantasy football clerks for at least the next hour here, trying to give you all of the info that you need. Just call me Silent Bob, Jay. I don't know. It doesn't really matter what you call me. That you don't suck any ranks this particular weekend. So make sure you listen up. You figure out what you got to do and who to start for your quarterfinal playoff matchup. If you grab the buy in your league, fantastic. Congratulations. We hope so. I grabbed a few of those myself, but certainly there's some leagues where I'm playing this week, some leagues where I'm just out. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. A couple of things before we begin. Number one, if I can find it. Hey, we got a Discord. I'm going to drop the link in the chat over here on YouTube in just a second. Feel free to jump in and get all of your fantasy football questions answered from myself, from Ryan, from Jesse, from SC, from Spencer, from Mike, from Rich, and anyone and everyone else who's in that Discord. You can jump right in. Again, that will be in the chat momentarily. And then, of course, if you haven't used Fast Draft, go use Fast Draft. Sign up for it. We match the first-time deposit of up to $25 promo code. So I guess we don't technically match it, but you get a free $25 if you spend $25 on us. Use promo code FFU. That's the business. Here's the pleasure. Ryan, what's up? How you doing, man?
Doing great. Twitter decided to not work this morning, but hey, here we are. made it somewhat on time. We're close. We're close enough.
Yeah, listen, Twitter's also not working right now. I don't know what the hell's going on here, but we're doing our best to get through, just like you probably got through to the playoffs. How many matchups are you dealing with, Ryan, today? Starting tonight, I guess. How many guys are you relying on here in week 15 to get you through?
Oh, it's the question of the week, isn't it? Because on one side you have Kyle Pitts, who's probably the only reliable target outside of Bijan Robinson, maybe Tyler Algier if you're super desperate. But on the Tampa, you have Chris Godwin, you have Mike Evans, you have Ibuka who's been struggling, you have Baker who's been struggling, Bucky who's been pretty decent, and K. Dotton's probably a non-factor, but that wide receiver situation for Tampa Bay is going to be tricky to sort out tonight.
Yeah, totally agree with you. One thing of note, we'll see what happens with it, but Cade Otton is doubtful for this game. Yeah, so doubtful usually means out, but we don't know what's happening. Mike Evans is slated to play. He's technically questionable, but everyone pretty much expects him to play. How much will he play is the question on everyone's mind. So, of course, if you have a start-sit question, go ahead and drop it in the chat. We'll make sure to get to it throughout the course of the next hour. And the other thing to note, Ryan, in this Bucks, this very good news for the Bucks, Tristan Wirfs practiced in full yesterday. He should be good to go today. Hopefully it holds up for him. They missed him big time last week.
Yeah, they missed him a lot last week. It's a rough game against the Saints where they lost, but it's going to be nice to have him back. Atlanta's been struggling. They owed that top 10 pick to the Rams. So what a trade that was. But
yuck.
We'll talk more about that game in a little bit.
Well, let's do it right now. And let's stay on the Atlanta side, because I think that's a very quick conversation, as you've already alluded to. We do like Kyle Pitts this week. Kyle Pitts had a really good matchup last week. That's why I popped off, but he's gone off a couple of weeks here in a row. A slightly tougher matchup here, but nothing that you can't get over for that Tampa defense. Really, all they have is the corpse of Levante David, who's still going strong, and not a lot else, although that secondary has tightened up a bit. How do you feel about Kyle Pitts, as you mentioned him, and outside of him, is there anyone else here catching the ball in Atlanta who you would start?
No, because the GM absolutely ignored the wide receiver position, and it's coming back to bite them. Because no Drake London means nobody's catching the ball outside of Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson. Sure. I mean, oh gosh, what was his name? I feel bad because I don't remember his name. It was Drummond. Drummond was catching a couple of balls.
Andre Drummond, potentially.
No, not Andre Drummond. It's I forget Andre Drummond.
Oh, it's Dylan Drummond. I got it.
Andre Drummond plays for the Sixers.
Yeah. Oh, fair.
But yeah, so you got him. You got Casey Washington, who's been factoring in a little bit here and there.
Yuck.
it's just malpractice by the GM to have not addressed the wide receiver position in some light in free agency or the draft. I know the Darnell Mooney thing kind of put a wrench in their plans, but what was your plan if Darnell Mooney was okay and Drake London got hurt? It doesn't look like they had a plan.
No, they didn't. And certainly getting rid of Olamide Zaccheaus seems like a bad move on their part. Darnell Mooney was the wide receiver 13 back in week 12, just a couple of weeks ago, but only 3 targets, 3 for 74 and a touchdown. Otherwise, he hasn't sniffed wide receiver 3, except for 1 week against San Francisco. He's played pretty much all these games, so Mooney is a non-factor. I get it. If you have to play him, leagues are deep. You have to pray for a touchdown. You can beat this Tampa secondary, so we feel your pain, Jamie. There's a fair amount of us that are in this situation, but maybe, Jamie, there's a guy on your wire or two who you can just go out and get instead. Frosty says, can't believe I won't have London. Yeah, London was the games he's played outside of 2 of them, he's been awesome. And just unfortunately, he came down with the injury. The games played, wide receiver 1 on the week, wide receiver 1 on the week, wide receiver 12 in half PPR league. So you'd love to see that out of that guy. But of course, the last game he played was week 11.
Yeah, if I could point to one thing that derailed my whole season was the Drake London injury. I had 4 teams that make the playoffs and one or two that barely missed. All of them had Drake London on them. So I have some scrambling to do. I understand what fantasy managers are going through right now. It's really tough to find someone, especially in dynasty formats. We're talking about redraft here, so it's a lot easier to find someone that's semi-capable, but it's not been fun trying to replace Drake London. I get how all these people feel, especially Frosty. It's tough.
Yeah, and it's not just replacing Drake London, it's replacing Michael Penix, who went down as well. This team is in a free fall with injury. I don't think Raheem Morris is going to survive this. Do you?
I don't think you can. I don't think the GM survives it either. I think you got to hit the reset button. You're sending a top 10 pick to the team that's probably going to win the Super Bowl if we're looking at it right now. Yeah. So it's just a disaster for the Atlanta Falcons. And there's a couple teams that should have made that trade as well. This is an NFL podcast. It's a fantasy podcast. We could talk about that in Discord or something, but
well, no, let's not talk about that anymore. That's a little too depressing.
Of course, Discord, you're playing good if you want.
Yeah, jump on in.
Jump on in the Discord if you want to talk about, how the Falcons are poorly run.
Just venting, just nonstop venting. Of course, you're starting Bijan as you reference. Of course, you have the opportunity to start Tyler Algier in this matchup. We don't love it because the Tampa front is a bit stout. You can get over them in the passing game, but it's not anything to be scared about with Bijan. You could start Algier in a flex in a pinch in the flex, but I think we prefer better options if we have them. Hopefully we have better options on the other side of the ball. Let's talk about these running backs for Tampa Bay. How do you feel about them? Because Bucky is no longer top dog there. They seem to be splitting it up, at least in his second game back. Do you think it all reverts back to Bucky because we're obviously playing him, or do you think Rachaad White, Sean Tucker are viable this week?
Yeah, I think you got to start Bucky, of course. Obviously, you just said that. But I think some Sean Tucker could factor in. I think Rachaad White, I think they've been nursing him back from this injury, it feels like a little bit. So I think Bucky gets in the end zone, but I don't know if the ceiling is for him tonight.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I have those other guys ranked down poorly, but the split was very real last week between these backs. If we think about Baker Mayfield, like you said, he's been struggling. Of course, he has that non-throwing shoulder labrum injury, which, damn near put him in the hospital a few weeks back. He's just playing through it, gutting it out. We see guys with broken bones and torn shoulders at the quarterback position playing. So I think you can play Baker this week. I'm not excited about it, but it's a good matchup. But my real question is not necessarily Baker, because if you have to, you have to. If you don't have better options, he's a back-end QB1 for me. We'll get into it shortly. But let's talk about the receivers here, because everybody is playing in this game. I think even Jalen McMillan is playing in this game. Yeah, I know he's questionable going into tonight, but he played last week. Who are you comfortable starting, especially if Otten's out? Which of these wide receivers are you comfortable starting tonight?
Oh, goodness. It's such a tough question to ask because normally you could just say Lockett and Emeka Egbuka, but
he's been
he's been not so great, and it's partially because of Baker, partially because of him.
Mm-hmm.
I have him and Godwin back to back at 29 and 30. Like, I don't feel good about it. Someone's gonna score. Someone's gonna get the yards tonight. Vegas doesn't even know who's gonna get the yards tonight. They're all around, sitting in the 43, 44, 45 range. Nobody knows where the ball's going. So I have them all in the 29 to 38 range. It's just so tough to predict where the ball is going to be going. Is Mike Evans going to be healthy? Is Baker going to be okay anyway? Regardless, is Atlanta going to put the defense that they've been investing all these draft picks to work? It's just so tough because maybe Atlanta, these Thursday night games have been weird. Maybe no one goes off for Tampa, but I have them all way down in my rankings this week.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm struggling with Chris Godwin. He feels like the most reliable. But to your point on Emeka Egbuka, I feel like we do this every single week since week 7, which is basically when he fell off the touchdown truck. Here are his 9, 13, 9, 8, 8, 9. He's turned that into performances of wide receiver, half PPR, 1, 5, 4, 44, 51, 43, 76. I just don't think you can trust Emeka Egbuka. Chris Godwin's back. Mike Evans is back now. The one saving grace you may have with Egbuka is Mike Evans back could open things up for Emeka Egbuka, could make him kind of the odd man out in coverage schemes, which would work well for him. But Baker, as you referenced earlier, just isn't playing well. He isn't hitting him. We saw him airmail the touchdown pass to Egbuka that technically was a drop, but really was not a great throw from Baker last week.
It was a walk-in. I mean, Baker's been the worst quarterback in football the past couple of weeks. On efficiency charts, he's always the bottom, and the quarterback, the bottom left, the farthest, the bottom left. Maybe it's the injury. People are.
It's got to be
realizing he's not that guy. I don't know. I think
it's got.
I think he's somewhere in the middle. He's somewhere in the middle of what he was in the early season and what he is now. He's going to regress to the mean at some point. Maybe that might not be till next season, though, because of the injury. So I'm a little worried. It's really tough this season with the end for all these guys looking like non-fantasy starterable assets. But, if I have to start these guys, I'm starting them. And, oh, boy.
Speaking of starting these guys, I referenced him and your darling, everybody's fantasy darling who does nothing except for 1 week back in week 3, where he's the wide receiver 6. Luther Burden has more opportunity. Rome Odunze, I don't think we really expect him to play this week, although I don't think he's officially ruled out yet. And it's not a terrible matchup against Cleveland for a guy who's going to be used the way Luther Burden's going to be used. I just don't see it. 5, 5, 6, 6 targets in his last month, 3, 3, 4, 4 receptions, no touchdowns. Wide receiver 57, 35, 47, 28. So he's a wide receiver 3 for you. You hope he finds the end zone, but against Cleveland, I don't think that's likely. I'm going to go Godwin. How about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go Godwin, but I'm still a big Luther Burden guy. I think it's his quarterback.
He looks good. Of course.
Like, you watch Luther Burden when he gets the ball, he has the juice. Like, he makes guys miss. He's good in space. And I was watching, I don't know if it was like a curl route or something, like a 5-yard hitch route. Mm-hmm. Luther Burden's just standing open, like on the hash mark, and Caleb Williams just sails the ball over his head. It's like, dude, it's a 5-yard throw. You got to make those. Listen, Ben Johnson's hiding a lot.
Yes, he is. And I think Ben Johnson knows how to utilize Burden, which is nice. But like you said, the Caleb stuff is rough. Caleb Williams on the run, rolling out of the pocket is an amazing thrower of the football. Caleb Williams sitting in the pocket, standing still with nobody rushing him is clearly the worst starting quarterback in the NFL. It's a rough one. We're both going Godwin, Frosty. Good luck and Godspeed to you this week. Let's get into these rankings here because we've already gone too far. We're going to add it to the stage. We got my boy Drake May. He's not number 1. In fact, I pushed him down the rankings this week against the Buffalo Bills. He was the QB 25 back in, I think it was week 5, even with Steph Diggs going off in a revenge game for 146 yards. But that passing offense is still there. We know Drake May can run it if he needs to, but you can run all over Buffalo. So you see Drake May there for me. In fact, I'll make it a little bit bigger as usual. You see Drake May there for me at 5. I got two non-running quarterbacks at the top, Ryan. So maybe we can talk about that. But those guys are going to rake this week. Then you see the guys who run it. I got Dart all the way up at 3. Washington is the worst team for my money on the defensive side of the ball this year. You got Josh Allen, Drake May, Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, Hurts all the way down at 8. I think he'll be fine, but he hasn't been elite in a couple of weeks here.
You mean
Trevor
turning
Lawrence,
the ball
Baker
over
Mayfield.
two times in one play?
4 times. Yeah, 2 times in one play. Marcus Mariota and Patrick Mahomes all the way down to 12. Feels low. I don't care. What do you think of this top 12, my QB1s?
Well, I agree with you on the top 2 guys. I have Stafford, then Burrow. Then I have Allen. I'm a little lower on Dart because the offense is just so bad.
Yeah.
He could get there, but it's tough. Where do you have Lamar at down at 13? I'm at 5. I know he's been struggling, but he kind of showed some promise last week. Cincinnati's defense is so bad.
There.
I want these guys in the high point total games, so I have Jared Goff up at 9. I know the Rams defense is very tough, but when the game is projected at an over-under of 55.5, I have to get every piece of that game. I've been adamant about that for weeks. And there's been 2 games that have closed at 50 this past season. They've both been in the past week, actually. It was Cincinnati Buffalo this past week, which was absolutely a high scoring game. There were 75 points. And then it was Dallas Detroit a week ago tonight. That was 73 points. So 74 points on average in those games. They've been closing over. It's I just want as much as I can of that game. I know Goff might struggle a little bit, but it's such a good matchup. Just points wise, they're gonna be behind all game.
Yep, I hear you. But you always run the risk of this being a Jahmyr Gibbs game. We saw that come to fruition last week against the Rams in that stout front. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball. In fact, I got Gibbs down at like 6 or 7 this week just because I had to fade him a little bit against that stout D. At the same time, he can get there in the passing game. Jared Goff could go off, but I'm just a little wary here. So, I could see him creeping up into the top 12, but I don't think he's going to get past 11 for me by the weekend. You mentioned Lamar Jackson had a better game last week, but don't forget 2 weeks ago played Cincy, was the QB 27, completed 50% of his passes, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. He did run the football a little bit better than he had been. And then, of course, he had that big blow-up game last week against Pittsburgh. But against Cincinnati, in Cincinnati, I don't know, man. I'm just a little concerned. These divisional games get wacky.
They do get wacky, but I just want to make sure I'm right. Yeah, they lost 4 fumbles in that game.
Yeah, crazy.
Lamar also threw the pick, so they had 5 turnovers in the game.
Mm-hmm. And
so
it was also the Isaiah Likely fumble at the 1-inch line through the back of the end zone, I think. That should have been a 30-yard touchdown. If that happens, you like Lamar's numbers there a lot better. This is a good question. Why are people, Frosty, just come right at me. Why am I ranking Dart so high this week? Washington is awful. We saw what J.J. McCarthy did to them. J.J. McCarthy was the quarterback 10 last week. Absolutely ridiculous stuff. Washington is just so bad. They can't cover anyone. And we know that Dart has his full complement of weapons. It's not just the 2 running backs, but it's also Theo Johnson. It's also Wan'Dale Robinson. Darius Slayton is healthy in this one. So I like him not only to get there in the passing game as he has done before, over the scores, but I do expect him to get there on the ground. I know in his first game back from concussion number 2, 3, whatever it was, I know that he wasn't running a ton. He just went 4 for 20 last week. I expect that to tick up. This is part of his game. He wants to do that. Of course, they don't want to get him obliterated along the sideline like happened to him last week. But he's a running quarterback. I can see pushing him below Josh Allen, but that's it. Like, he's above May for me this week. He's above Dak for me this week. Dart is at worst the QB4. I have him at 3. You have him at 6. You feel like that's too low. I get it, Jamie. I think he's going to smash this week. Whoever's playing Washington, what we thought about Cincinnati, that holds true for tight ends. That holds true for running backs. But that's kind of what Washington has become across the board. They're just awful. It's not going to get any better.
Yeah, it's going all in on those vets in the offseason proved to be not great, but
Yeah,
they've been really bad. They don't have any offense besides Marcus Mariota in that crazy game against Denver on Sunday night, which delivered
for
despite
sure.
we didn't think it was going to deliver. I have him at 7, but I think it's a little too high. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we'll see what Dart does. The real question is, will he run? 4 for 20 isn't going to get it done if I got him up at
He
QB3
shouldn't
or
be.
if you got him up at QB7. So we'll see what happens. Should he be? I don't know. We'll see how
It's a
healthy
lost
he is.
season. Season's over.
It
They're gonna
definitely is.
win these games and they're gonna lose out in draft position. It happens every year.
Yeah, but then they'll be in more prime position to get Jordan Tyson or someone else across from Malik Neighbors. Let's go offense in New York. Defense be damned. Anyway, QB2s here. You see JJ McCarthy all the way up at 20, but one spot below Aaron Rodgers at 19, coming off a great game, facing another good matchup here in Miami, and they have the Monday night game. So that's interesting. I got Justin Fields up here, but he might not play. It could be Brandon, what's his name? Brady Cook. Who cares? Who knows? Brady Cook's probably going to stay here if he starts at QB 39. But any interest in these QB2s? Why don't you pick one or two outside of Goff, who you've already discussed, and Lamar? One or two who you'd be okay with starting this week?
JJ McCarthy, he's the guy.
Yeah.
Dallas is not great against quarterbacks,
worst.
wide receivers. Even though Justin Jefferson went 2 receptions on 4 targets for 11 yards, I mean,
insane. Yeah.
You
can't start Justin Jefferson. Yeah, all right. Well, we'll talk about Justin Jefferson. You have to, but you also can't because he should go off in this game. He should go off in this game, but he didn't go off last week. JJ McCarthy's not looking for him. He's finding the check down tight end options. It's ugly. I don't think it gets any better. And Dallas is a much better defense than Washington at this point in the season.
Yeah, it's just you have to go down on the ship, man. The ship is sank, but you're still on it, and there's not room for 2 on the door. There's not room for 2 on the door, so you're going down with it. But I am playing him in a playoff matchup this week, so Justin Jefferson's going to go off just for that sole reason. But
yeah,
I mean that trade request in the offseason, it's gonna go crazy, honestly.
The heart of the fantasy ocean. We got your Titanic references. Justin Jefferson is just going down with the ship that is JJ McCarthy. It's shocking to me that Kevin O'Connell hasn't figured out a better way to scheme him up and open. But JJ McCarthy had been that bad. Justin Jefferson's running wide open a ton for sure.
I say that tweet, what was it, like 2 or 3 days ago, where it's just Justin Jefferson, he had a walk-in 66-yard touchdown. Like,
yeah.
He was going to walk that thing, and there was no one within 10 yards of him, and JJ just missed him and scrambled. So,
yeah,
he's doing it. JJ's just not seeing it.
Yeah, agree. You see Caleb Williams here at QB 25. Herbert with the broken hand against Kansas City. Can it get any worse for him? I could push him up a couple of spots, but there's some good matchups for these guys ahead, especially Tua. Dolphins trying to win 5 in a row with no TJ Watt potentially out. He just went to the hospital for a lung issue, TJ Watt. He's questionable for Monday night. You see Shedeur all the way down here. Chicago defense improving, getting healthier. I could probably move him up a few spots. Any of these final guys here, you see I'm hedging myself with the Pickett, Geno Smith, Phillip Rivers over here. Anyone here at the bottom of the list who you just got so many issues and there's nobody on the wire and you'll just plug them in if you have to.
Not Phillip Rivers, I'll tell you that much.
Give me a name.
Very nervous for what he's going to do this week against Seattle, but
Shedeur?
I mean, Sure. I mean, I'm looking at Tua. I have a little lower than you, so that's why I'm looking at him. I have a 27. Yeah, probably Tua. Cam Ward if I'm super desperate.
Sure.
That's about it. Maybe Bryce Young. I have him lower than you.
Cousins tonight? Would you play Cousins tonight if you had to?
Absolutely not. I have him up at 21, so I got to move him down. I just noticed that he snuck away from me up there. I got to move him down to 29. I'll play Kenny Pickett above whatever the Eagles are throwing out there above Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, it's ugly, ugly stuff. But just keep in mind that Tua Tagovailoa may approach QB 20 status with Fields unlikely to play. And then JJ McCarthy just being JJ McCarthy. We'll see how it goes. Jacoby Brissett also pretty high. I'm really nervous about Jacoby Brissett not hitting his QB1 in every single game streak of 7 in a row. I just don't think it happens this week. I get it with garbage time, but I don't think you get garbage time against a team with a defense like Houston has. We saw them, absolutely dominate that Kansas City offense. We saw them shut down Travis Kelce. So up next, of course, is Trey McBride. I'm not saying the same thing happens. It's a prime letdown spot as well for the Houston defense. At the same time, no MHJ, most likely. I'm worried about Brissett and everybody on this Arizona offense.
Yeah, you and me both. But Houston's one of my favorite Super Bowl bets going forward.
It's a good one.
I'm probably a week late saying that after they beat Kansas City, but they're still in the 17 to 20-1 range. I'll bet it. I think if that offense could figure a couple things out, that defense is just so good it could carry them all the way.
Love that take.
At least how the AFC that is. That the AFC's messy.
It sure is, but that's okay. We're just here to rank them, and root for our favorite teams to win. The Colts, I don't think, are going to be one of those teams. We'll see. But here's the list of running back ones. Against Tennessee, there's no way in hell you can rank Christian McCaffrey anywhere but 1 this week. It's Bijan at 2 for me, Achane at 3. He's got a little bit of an injury issue. They said he could have come back in last week. So that's why he's down at 3. He probably could be up at 2 and potentially 1. Great matchup for him. But maybe they limit him. Maybe they don't need him as much if they get out early on Pittsburgh, who's sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit, right? Bucky at 4 going night. You got Barkley, Gibbs, Cook, Henderson, Derrick Henry, Chase Brown, ETN, and Josh Jacobs to round out the top 12. Anything stand out for you here?
Oh, you know exactly what I'm going to say. What stands out?
Jameer?
It's the no Jonathan Taylor. Obviously, it's warranted, oh man,
no way.
I have him at 13. I couldn't go any lower than 13.
Yeah, I get it.
It's so rough.
I mean, the picture.
He's been RB1 or RB2 basically all season. Him and McCaffrey have been trading places a little bit. It's just so tough what happened with that offense and how everything's going down. There is a running back that you have at number 9 that I have in my 1 spot. I have Derrick Henry up at 1. I think it's the week. He's been trying to replicate that RB1 performance ever since Buffalo.
Can't do it.
I think he gets it done here against Cincinnati, honestly.
What's changed for you in 2 weeks? Do you think Lamar is just a little bit healthier than he was 2 weeks ago, and that kind of transforms this offense? Because they obviously know who Cincinnati is on the defensive side of the football. Derrick Henry, just the RB10 2 weeks ago, only 10 for 60. Of course, he's running at a 6 per clip. They only gave it to him 10 times. In fact, listen to these carry totals for Henry since week 5: 15, 24, 21, 19, 20, 18, 21, 10, 25. Guess who the 10 was against? It was against Cincy. They were running Keaton Mitchell. What the hell?
It was also a weird game, too. Like I said, there was 5 turnovers. Yeah. I don't think Lamar is going to turn it over 5 times again. Game has a high over-under. Like I said, I like picking on those a lot. But I think if he gets 20 touches, he could have 25 fantasy points pretty easily against this defense that he did do very well against last game. It's just
6 a clip, yeah.
He was unable to get the carries because they kept turning the ball over so much that Isaiah Likely thing in the end zone, and there was just so much going on.
Zay did nothing.
Yeah, it was such a weird game that I think they'll be fine. I mean, Cincinnati has to figure it out after whatever the heck happened last week. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah,
Joe Burrow throwing lollipops to the defense, but
ugly. It's ugly stuff. Frosty, we'll get there. I'm not going to blow the load just yet, but I will tell you. I don't know if this is the case, but it's damn close. And I think I do have Pitts over McBride this week. But give us about 15 minutes. We'll get there. TreVeyon Henderson going to run all. Yeah, TreVeyon Henderson going to run all over the Bills here. So love that. I don't mind playing Ramondre in a pinch. You'll see his name as well if you need to because of injury. Hopefully you don't. You see my RB2s. We start off with Javonte, Quinshawn, Jonathan Taylor, Kyron. Guys we're not used to seeing as RB2s, but here they are. And of course, you got Breece Hall, RJ Harvey, Rico Dowdle, DeAndre Swift in a tough matchup, but he's been good. Hampton in a tougher matchup, but he looked great last week. Pollard, Chris Rodriguez, all of them, Ryan, all of them over Ashton Jeanty this week.
It's tough. The Ashton Jeanty show has been kind of derailed, but
yeah,
it's I don't know what you want to do with Ashton Jeanty. It's kind of been a lost season. Too. It's going down even more in your rankings now.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that.
It feels like he's kind of unplayable.
I'm gonna do this. I mean,
you just keep going.
We keep going. We could.
Put him down on 40. Why don't you?
No.
You talk any longer about Ashton Jeanty, I'll start putting in Blake Corum over him against a tough Detroit defense. But
yeah,
disastrous rookie season, not his fault. It's not his fault meme. That's what we're saying about Ashton Jeanty.
Yeah,
better is it.
Truly agree. Jamie, as always, coming through with the double entendres. Frosty's torn between Rico and Jaylen Warren. We know that Kenny Gainwell is getting more and more involved. Looks great doing it, but Jaylen Warren has to break off the big runs in order to have the big fantasy day. He's not getting the lion's share of the load. He's close to it. It's close to a 50-50 split, but it is still the Jaylen Warren show. And at home, really, against Miami in a game where this team is going to have to not only control the ball on the ground, but also Aaron Rodgers is still quick to pull the trigger and check down to Warren. I want Warren. I kind of want Warren over Rico, but you see, I got Rico 6 spots higher. Who do you think between these two?
I want to say Rico so bad. I mean, he played 47% of the snaps last week, and he still had about 20 total touches. It's ridiculous. Yeah. And hasn't Kenneth Gainwell been like 7 the past 3 or 4 weeks?
Yeah, but he's had a few big touchdown runs for that. Jaylen Warren the last 3 weeks, RB15, RB24, RB17, half PPR. He's scored in every single game.
Yeah, do you think the touchdowns are going to keep coming against Miami? I mean,
yes.
Last week,
yes, I do.
Last week was with Brady Cook. It was kind of an outlier performance.
Yeah,
but I want to go Rico, but I feel like Jaylen Warren's the right selection. But I'm gonna rank Rico higher.
Yeah, that's how I have it. I have him 6 spots higher. Jaylen Warren should be the goal line back. Yeah, but Miami defense isn't as bad as you want them to be. They've kind of tightened up the ship a little bit, even after losing Jalen Phillips. And let's look at Rico just to kind of solidify Ryan's numbers here that he was giving us just a few seconds ago. Over the last 5 games, 25, 18, 19, a weird 6 against San Francisco, and then 18 carries. So you like the carry total. He just hasn't scored in the last 3 games. Still RB20, RB23, and a weird RB36 against the Rams last week. So I think Rico has a bounce back. We don't like the fact that Chuba was eating in, but I think Chuba was eating in because it was much harder to run against that Rams front. Just 3.2 yards per carry for Rico when we saw him last in week 13. It's going to be a lot easier for them to run against New Orleans. So I'll go Rico.
Yeah. We'll never forget that 3-week stretch from Rico Dowdle. Ridiculous.
Let's move on to the rest of the guys that we want to talk about. I got Kenny Gainwell too low. I'll move him up above everybody's darling Blake Corum and Chuba because they got a rough matchup here. You see, I got Kyren all the way down to RB16. I can move him further because I've got, where's my guy? Blake Corum at RB35. Detroit is sneakily the best fantasy defense to play against running backs. Running backs are just not doing it against them for fantasy. It's probably because they're so injured in the secondary that you can throw all over them. But Brian Branch is such a kind of a glue guy for that defense, and now he's out for the rest of the season. I think it affects both the passing game and the run defense as well for Detroit. At the same time, I just think Matt Stafford's going to go nuclear in this one, and we're going to see a ton more fades to Devontae Adams from the 2-yard line than we are going to see them pounding the rock into the end zone. What do you think?
Yeah, I wrote an article last night, and I listed as contenders if there's Devontae Adams out there on a guy's or a person's team who just got eliminated, or hasn't been active. Try because it feels like he's going to score a touchdown in this one. I mean, if you take his stats inside the 5-yard line, he has 9 touchdowns. That'd be tied for the league lead in receiving touchdowns if you took away all the other touchdowns scored outside the 5. Absolutely ridiculous season. He's getting his way to Canton. He's going to go to Canton now based off this run.
Yep.
If he does it for one more season, maybe 2, he's guaranteed gold jacket. So
I think they'll be back. Him and Stafford. He came out earlier today or yesterday and said that he is likely to retire when Stafford retires. I don't think that's next season. I don't think that's next season, though. I think they both give it one more ride. If they win a ship, of course, all bets are off. That's kind of the one thing. But they're going to want another one. They're greedy guys, and Stafford clearly still has it, and so does Devontae. So that's an interesting one there. But yeah, I'm a little lower on these Rams backs this week. You see some of these other names here. We're not going to go into detail, but like I said, I don't mind flexing Ramondre this week. It's just such a juicy matchup for him. I don't mind flexing Devin Singletary, another juicy matchup if you have to. He's quietly getting some volume recently and finding the end zone. You got Bashal Tutin, you got Taji, you got Bam Knight in a horrible matchup, but he's going to get the volume. Are there any names here that stand out to you that you would flex in a pinch this week in a must-win game?
I would say Keaton Mitchell is one of my guys.
Yeah, love it.
I mean, he's kind of hurt a little bit. He's questionable going in this game, but he had that long run. He had that long run last week against the Steelers. He would have housed that pre-ACL, I'm convinced.
Yep.
But he didn't. But he's still getting a little bit of the work. I like Derrick Henry. If there's a way to beat Cincinnati, it's to keep the ball away from them and run the ball. And you could have 2 running backs get there. So in a pinch, I'll do Keaton Mitchell as a starter, but maybe Zach Charbonnet against a weak ND defense. He'll probably steal a touchdown again, as he always does.
I haven't checked. I'm going to look now to see if DeForest Buckner will play this week. It was looking good on Tuesday, but of course, those Tuesday, Wednesdays, you can't really trust. Do you have news on him?
No, I do not. I'll look. Oh, but the thing is, they're going to control the ball so much. What is Phillip Rivers really going to do? They're going to have the ball for most of the game.
Is it Rivers? Do we know?
It doesn't matter if it's Rivers.
I agree.
It's hurt Riley Leonard, who's banged up, but his agent's probably telling him to play because it's wise advice.
Yeah,
because you want to get a starting job in the league, so it's just tough. It's a tough spot.
The Colts opened the 21-day practice window on DeForest Buckner yesterday, and he had a limited, I assume very limited practice on Wednesday. So that is what that is. But we don't want to talk anymore about these running backs because we're getting a little deep in the weeds and it's your fantasy playoffs. We want to instead, if I can find the damn thing, where is it? There we go. We want to talk about wide receivers. All right. So Puka, man, last week, Ryan, was the first week I was brave enough to rank Devontae Adams over Puka Nacua. What did that get me? That got me knocked out of the Scott Fishbowl playoffs by 0.81 points, Ryan, because Devontae Adams didn't show up and 3 other injuries prevented me. But alas, I digress. It is what it is. You see Puka rightly ahead of Devontae Adams, and of course, Devontae Adams will score 2 touchdowns once again. Here are my wide receiver ones. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, hard to rank those top 3 guys in any other order than what they're in.
Yeah.
I don't have AJ Brown that high. I'm not a believer. The Raiders are not great. How dare I after I watched the last 3 weeks of Eagles football?
Yeah, he's been great actually for fantasy anyway.
Yeah, he knocked me out of my home league. I know he's great. Of course. The week I need him to not do anything, he's wide receiver 1.
Right. In the last month, I mean, granted, it's been Detroit, Dallas, Chicago, the Chargers, so it hasn't been anything scary defensively. But of course, we're talking Vegas. Don't worry, he gets Washington and Buffalo to end the season. AJ Brown has been the wide receiver 21, 5, 1, and 17 in half PPR leagues. His targets 11, 10, 12, 13. Hurts got the memo, is throwing him the football. AJ Brown's paying off big time.
Yeah, I'm so glad that's happening as an Eagles fan. Can you tell?
You don't sound glad. You don't sound glad.
I'm glad he's getting his stats, and I'm glad they're losing football games. But
yeah,
I'm at wide receiver 9. I mean, it's not like I have him down in the wide receiver 2 range. He's been great, but man, oh man, it's I'm going to move on here. I'd Devontae Adams at 4. I think he gets there this week. It's,
Fair.
I have Pickens down at 12. I see Frosty's comment. I rank CD like he's playing, so I have George Pickens lower than you do. Yep. I think he's been progressing well through that concussion protocol, so I think he's going to play. I'm a wide receiver 8. Man, he was going to score 40 points in that Detroit game.
Another one that knocked me out of Scott Fish. God damn it.
He was going to get there. I mean,
I know.
He was eating against man coverage, and George Pickens was George Pickens. Of course, I'm out of my home league by 5 points, and George Pickens decided he didn't want to catch that football, the deep route at the end of the game, where it was basically in his hands. Yeah, fun stuff. But there's another wide receiver that I have pretty high, and we'll talk about him in the wide receiver 2 range, but I'm excited to get to it.
Yeah, let's do that. But to answer this question from Frosty, I'm not going to leave him at 15 if he plays. He'll be a wide receiver 1. But I think I will rank George Pickens ahead of him. Pickens needs to atone. Of course, 11, 9, 13, 9 targets. That's his norm, and that's what he's done over the last month. Crazy things. Wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, wide receiver 17. Just a weird wide receiver 36. His second lowest game of the season. And of course, we did see him give up a time or 2, but he's still elite. I will probably rank Pickens over him. But CD Lamb for me will be a wide receiver 1. Where do you have him, Ryan?
I have an 8.
Yeah, that's fair. You have him over Amon-Ra? How dare you?
No. No, I have Amon-Ra at 5, Jeremy. I can't do that.
I figured. In fact, I'll do this now for the vibes. We'll put Pickens below Amon-Ra for everyone. Oh man, now I got to put him below. Now he's moving down. Now he's moving down. No, that's plenty. That's plenty. Let's get to our wide receiver 2s as you referenced. Big J-Mo making me look like a fool for all my offseason takes. Finally coming through. Thank you, Dan Campbell, for taking over play calling duties. Jameson Williams at 13 against a tough Rams defense. I don't care. He's defense proof. Let's hope they continue to get him the football. Wandale, CD, Justin Jefferson at 16. That's just hopium at this point. He's been awful through no fault of his own, as we've already discussed. Chris Olave at 18. That scares me a little bit, but he did have a good game against them earlier in the season, although it did take J.C. Horn falling down and Chris Olave to have a 45-yard touchdown reception, which was half of his production to be able to get there. So a little concerned about him this week against Carolina. You see the rest of my wide receiver 2s, including Steph Diggs in another revenge game. What do you think about these guys?
Yeah, I have Steph Diggs almost in wide receiver 1 territory. I mean, last game against Buffalo, that Sunday nighter, he went absolutely crazy. I forget his exact stat line, but it was definitely over 100 yards. And I don't think he got in the end zone, but it was still a great performance. Jacoby Myers up at 15. I mean, he's been the key to the Jacksonville offense as of late, and it makes me very sad because that was going to be Travis Hunter's role before Travis Hunter went down. But Jacoby Myers has been absolutely fantastic. It's hard not to rank him as a wide receiver 2. Terry McLaurin, last game he could kind of throw that one away because it was just a disaster for those guys. But the game before that against Denver, he looked really nice. DK Metcalf is coming off 140 yards. He's going against Miami. That should be a nice matchup. So a lot of good wide receiver 2s to pick on this week.
Very, very true. Good question from Frosty. More so zone, I think, than man. Yeah, they're doing all those crazy exotic blitz schemes and trying to confuse you in terms of where they're coming from. So they can't do a ton of man. Brian Flores does it very well, but of course, zone can be beaten if you are not so flustered by the blitz. Of course, with Dallas and Dak Prescott, I expect him not to be so flustered by the blitz. And this offensive line is held up in Dallas.
Yeah, I like it. And they basically average the same amount of fantasy points as each other on each route by zone coverage. I know PFF publishes the report. So George Pickens' fantasy points route run against man is 0.64. CDs is also 0.64. And then Pickens is 0.45 against zone, and CDs 0.43. So
yeah,
they're basically the same.
It should be a very good day. We have to talk about this guy sitting at wide receiver 24. The greatest wide receiver of all time, Michael Wilson. What do we think here? Because I think, is it confirmed that MHJ is out, or are we still waiting to hear? He's still
he
questionable.
didn't practice yesterday, so I think he's not going to play.
Practice. Yeah, I think we're all assuming that. Let's keep assuming he's not going to play, but it's not official yet. Michael Wilson's going to see a crap ton of Derek Stingley. I hate it. Jacoby Brissett is not going to have the time that he's used to. Also, we'll have to see what's going on with Evan Brown. He was out last week. He should be back this week because I think that was just a personal for him. So that helps. But man, this is shaping up to be a huge letdown. I'm really concerned about Michael Wilson this week. How about you?
Yeah, but did you just say he was the greatest wide receiver of all time? I'm going to keep buying in, man. All he has to do to be the greatest wide receiver of all time is for Marvin Harrison Jr. to be on the sideline. It's absolutely ridiculous because the 1 week he came back, he did nothing.
Yeah.
And then he goes out again and he gets 18 targets again, basically. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand it. But
here's the thing, though, is that in these games where Michael Wilson went off with his target totals of 18, 15, and 16, he played San Francisco, who had a lead and who was scoring. He played Jacksonville, who has been scoring, and he played the Rams, who got up huge. I don't think Houston gets up big. I don't think they have that firepower. They can definitely score. They can definitely move the football. But, it's Nico Collins. It's kind of Woody Marks if he can stay healthy the whole game. And really nobody else. I mean, Jaden Higgins is fine. He's sometimes scoring. Dalton Kincaid is fine. But this offensive Houston team, and so I'm not sure that they get out to this lead where, Jacoby Brissett has to sling it 50 times. Then again, I do not think that these Cardinals backs are going to find any room to run against that Houston front. So I don't know what to think, but I'm worried.
Yeah, I'm worried as well, but at the same time, 18 targets is 18 targets.
This is true.
So you can't rank him much lower than what we have him. It feels like we're at the floor at 24 and 22. I mean,
I'm definitely at the floor.
I can't put him in wide receiver 3 range in good conscience. I can't do it because
fair. I mean, I could get him up to 21 maybe. I'd probably have to boost Jacoby Myers because I want Jacoby Myers over Michael Wilson this week. But I could probably get Michael Wilson up to 21, maybe 20. But yeah, I'm just really, really reserved on him this week. Look, I'm not saying don't play him. You probably have situations where he's going to be a tough one where you're going to have to make a tough decision on him. But for example, if it's Mike Evans or Michael Wilson, I think we're pretty clear on that one. Who are you playing?
Yeah, we're playing Michael Wilson.
Yeah,
you take the risk.
Absolutely. In fact, my highest ranked wide receiver for Tampa is below Michael Wilson. It's Chris Godwin. You see Godwin, you see Evans. I got Emeka Egbuka hanging out down here somewhere. I just don't know what the hell to do with these guys. Yeah, he was the one player that popped up that said, you have Emeka Egbuka much lower than consensus. And I'm like, yes, I do, because he doesn't score touchdowns anymore. Here's my list of kind of the rest of the guys that are worth starting this week. Anybody pop out to you who you're happy to start?
Zay Flowers. I know we said he didn't do anything 2 weeks ago, but
nothing.
And, I know DJ Turner is that guy. We've talked about him all season, but I'll take the risk with Zay Flowers over a bunch of these other guys. I mean, Jordan Addison, if he plays, I could probably get there with him. DJ Moore has been great. That's about it. Does
Jaden Higgins score another touchdown?
Probably.
Yeah. And I don't mind Booty.
Nico, sadly, but
agree. I don't mind Booty either. And Chimere DK is interesting. If you have to start him, you got to start him in spots. And then the rest of this list, nobody I love, but Luther Burden down here. Adonai Mitchell, tough matchup for him this week. I don't think Parker Washington plays. We'll find out. And Jerry Jeudy, I think, was just a one-hit wonder last week. Just happened to catch that long 40, 50-yard pass from Shedeur for a touchdown. Otherwise, not a very big day for him.
Yeah, it's tough getting down here in the 40s and 50s. I mean, a lot of seasons have been derailed by these guys. It looks like, Xavier Worthy has been great. Ricky Pearsall, guys like that you spent pretty decent draft capital on them in redraft leagues, 7th, 8th, maybe sometimes 6th round picks. And they just have
ugly, ugly stuff. Speaking of ugly stuff, let's get to those tight ends that everybody loves, including Jamie, especially Jamie, and talk a little bit about this guy. Ryan, spoiler alert, he's not even close to my tight end one this week. Volume be damned. I am so concerned about Trey McBride. As you can see, it's clearly George Kittle for me. I got Kelsey all the way up at 2. Tyler Warren in the Kyle Pitts matchup from a week ago at 3. See the rest of these names. Trey McBride at 7. I had him down as low as 9. I got him at 7 here. You see the matchups and the players ahead of him, and you see the rest of my tight end ones. What do you think?
Yeah, I can't stop ranking him at 1. When the volume stops coming, I'll stop ranking him at 1. There's just no one that I really like this week. I mean, maybe Kittle over him.
Not Kittle?
It's close between him and Kittle, but I can't get there. Kyle Pitts, I have in my top 5 this week. I have him over Brock Bowers. Kenny Pickett did look good in relief last week. Maybe the Eagles defense bounces back. Maybe they don't. I'll take that risk tonight. Obviously, if you have Brock Bowers, you're going to play him, but
yeah,
over Kyle Pitts as well. So I might change that ranking. Brenton Strange has been good. He caught that touchdown last week. Of course, he got called back. That would have got me in my home league fantasy playoffs too, but alas.
Yep, that would have got me through Scott Fish as well.
Rough. The universe doesn't like us, I guess.
Nope.
Theo Johnson, I have up at 8 if he plays. Washington's been so bad.
But what about Isaiah Likely, man? You got
I have 15, so I got to get him up there.
Oh, how dare you?
I'm below. I have Travis Kelce down at 11. I just think it's over.
After 1 week.
I think it's over. It just looks.
Come on.
It's so bad. I don't know.
They played Houston.
Yeah, they played Houston, but I just think it's over. Maybe he proves me wrong, but
tight end last 4 weeks for Kelce, tight end half PPR, tight end 3, tight end 15, tight end 4, and of course the tight end 47 last week. But he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including those 7, 8 tight end 1 finishes on the season. It's not over. Come on, he's just not what he was.
It's over.
Not against the Chargers. He's gonna be fine.
I have Tyler Warren down at 10. That's a Phillip Rivers, Riley Leonard thing. It's not a Tyler Warren thing.
But Seattle only gives up fantasy points to the tight end position and nowhere else. In fact, this is why I was so high on Kyle Pitts last week. He was my tight end 5. I also think Tyler Warren gets the Wildcat goal line snaps and expect him to probably really try to rush one in.
Yeah, I'm going to lose full on the Twitter timeline when that happens. So be prepared for that because I have 50% of my best ball teams that advanced have JT on them. So
okay.
Be ready for that one.
I get it. I get it. Yeah, Jake Ferguson, I'm not too excited about him. First of all, he's questionable. Second of all, he gets Minnesota and those tough safeties and middle linebackers who can cover. I get it. If Lamb is out, Ferguson has been great. I just don't think this is the matchup that you want for him. And I think Dallas is going to struggle a little bit. If Lamb plays, that's a better situation overall for the offense, but just not for Ferguson. He's going to need a touchdown to get there. You see guys we love here, but I'm ranking them as tight end 2s this week, from Johnston to Loveland to Kincaid to Parkinson. All these guys are very close and very likely to score a touchdown. But I had to put those 2 Baltimore tight ends in there against Cincy. Had to get my boy Strange in there, Pitts, who's looked great, Juwan Johnson. So I like these tight ends, but there's just a lot of strange matchups happening this week that make them tight end 2s. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. It's you want to move them up as high as you can, but you can't get them any higher because of the guys up top just have cemented volume or great matchups. And I wanted to rank people like Aronde Gadsden higher this week, but he's just been blocking too much and I can't do it. He's fine. He'll be fine next year when Alton and Slater come back, but this year he's basically a blocker. So
agree. Darren Waller should be a lot better. I just don't trust it. Haven't really seen it yet. And Greg Dulcich was used a lot more than I expected last week with Waller, but assumedly healthy completely. Juwan Johnson, I just don't like his matchup, but I do like the volume that he gets. We don't need to talk about anybody else. TJ Hockenson maybe could come up. He caught a touchdown last week. Maybe he does it again. Kate Otten might not play. There's some names down here, but no one I really want to mention. You?
Yeah, same. I mean, Dawson Knox looked nice last week. Maybe if you're super desperate. Maybe it might be on your dynasty wire or something. I don't know.
Maybe. Frosty, as you mentioned, does it mean that I have Kyle Pitts over Trey McBride? I did not doctor this before. I do have Kyle Pitts one spot below Trey McBride, but I just did change that before the show because I had Trey all the way down at 9. Yeah, I think he does get triple teamed. I think that's what you got to do. You gotta bracket Michael Wilson. You got to triple team him and let Andrea Bocelli or whoever the hell is out there and healthy running routes for Arizona. Just, eat underneath, in the old, what was that guy in the Cliff Kingsbury, Arizona offense who was Rondale Moore in the old Rondale Moore role of like negative A dot. It's going to be a rough one. I am concerned, Frosty. I am concerned. Hopefully you got the bye if you have Trey McBride this week. We got a slide, so let's throw it up here for our defenses and special teams of the
good
week.
Times.
Oh, yes.
Good times. Oh, how I miss them.
Eagles copium. I got the Seahawks at 1, but I got your Eagles at 3 against Vegas. They don't know who their quarterback is. It's just a mess over there, and the Eagles are at home. The only thing they're missing right now is Jalen Carter, hopefully back for the playoffs. We'll see. Seattle at 1, Texans at 2, Eagles at 3. We got the Jags playing phenomenal on that side of the ball at 4. San Francisco has not been good on defense, but they're playing Tennessee. Even with Ward better, I think they still have a good outcome down a number of times. You see the rest of the names. Anybody else at the top of this list, someone you would move up or down?
Cleveland. I have Cleveland all the way up at 2.
Woo.
It's going to be a cold one.
Okay.
I think I saw wind chills of -20. I don't know if that's confirmed yet. So it might be a run the football and score no points kind of game. I just trust Cleveland's defense. I don't trust Caleb Williams. He'll probably make a mistake or two like he did last week. I mean, DJ Moore was going to walk in for that touchdown.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty close against the Packers. And besides
-5 in Cleveland on Sunday.
-5 is that without the wind chill though?
Yeah, that's just standard.
Just
standard -5.
The wind chill's going to get there then. So it looks like those reports were right.
Yeah.
And besides that, like you said, San Fran, Jacksonville up there. Tampa could be sneaky because Kirk Cousins might just be bad with all the weapons there.
Yeah.
I want to put them higher, but I'm where you have them at number 10. And besides that, nothing that I'm really looking for down the bottom. Kansas City, I have a lot higher just because their tackles in LA are so bad. And we saw a turnover fest on Monday night. So I have them up at 8.
It's true. That's a good point. I can move Kansas City up. I cannot move Cleveland up, and I'll tell you why. Chicago can run the crap out of the football. That offensive line is elite run blocking unit. I think, especially in a cold weather game, that favors the Chicago offense because that's what they want to do anyway, is hide Caleb at all costs. So I will leave Cleveland there, but I agree with you. I will move Kansas City up. Let's go down to the bottom of the list. Anybody here that you take issue with being ranked so low? Got Cincy at 26, the Colts, Raiders, Titans, Falcons, Detroit Lions, all beat up and playing the Rams. They would be my 32, but of course you got them New York Jets against a hot Jacksonville unit on offense.
Yeah, no issue. I have most of those guys down there in, varying order, but it's not like I have one of these guys up in the low 20s. So
fair enough. Let's roll to the kickers then and wrap things up here. Brandon Aubrey, absolutely crushing kicks. Why not? He's still my 1. Also, Dallas will struggle to find the end zone more often than not, I'd say, but they will move the football. You got Fairbairn, Myers, the usual suspects up top. Anyone you want to move up or down?
Not really. No, honestly.
Great. I love that answer. We're moving on. Yeah, they're kickers. Who cares? The other side of the football, teams who may struggle to score at all, let alone move the football. You see the defenses they're facing here: Jacksonville, Tampa, Philly, New Orleans, Chicago, Carolina, San Francisco, Seattle. Any thoughts? You don't have to have thoughts here, by the way.
Will Reichert have a little higher just because of Dallas's weak defense. They're going to be in a dome. That's about it.
Yeah, that's a good one. Question here from Ray. What is up? Should I add Judy or Jaden Reed off the waivers? I'd say it depends who you have, but I'd also say probably not. What do you think?
Probably not, but Jaden Reed interests me a little bit.
Agree.
Just because. But
yeah,
I'd probably just look to keep your roster as is.
Ray, we just talked about the weather in Cleveland. It is -5 this Sunday. Shedeur has looked good, but that Judy touchdown seemed like a fluke to me. And we know that passing offense, if it runs as it did last week, it runs through these tight ends. And Njoku, I assume, is out for multiple weeks, most likely. Harold Fannin is the only guy I want there in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Good question here. Drop Jaden Reed for Hubbard. I would. Give me Hubbard.
I would. Yeah.
Yep.
Swinging for upside.
Empty. Ray doesn't need to drop anybody. Go get Jaden Reed.
Yeah. I mean, Chicago
especially
next
against.
week.
Yep. Are they Denver this week? Yeah. They're Denver this week. Yeah, he's got a good matchup in, like Ryan's saying, in 16 and 17. And this week against Denver, let's say you had to play him for whatever reason. He's not going to see Patrick Surtain. That's going to be Christian Watson, who's been lighting it up. And Jordan Love's looked decent. I don't hate Jaden Reed for the rest of the season. Garrett Wilson, I would say no. What do you think?
No.
Yeah, sadly. It's just a shame. Ray, you can play Harold Fannin in your flex. I would.
Yeah. He's gonna get all the targets.
Yeah, especially over Reed and Judy. Absolutely. Give me Fannin 100 times out of 100.
Yep.
That is that. We're done with the show. I'm going to be live on TikTok a little bit later today at 4 p.m. Eastern. We're trying to grow that channel. We're trying to grow this channel. If you're here and you haven't been here before and you appreciate this content, we appreciate a like, a follow, a share, anything to help us out as we grow. Other than that, we're looking forward to our playoff matchups. I've got a lot of them. Thankfully, I've got a lot of buys, so I don't have too many games this week. But yeah, man, it's getting to be crunch time. We want to make the right decisions. We just don't know. But that's why we're here talking it out with you. Join us on Twitter. Join us live before the games on Sunday as well. Join us on TikTok because we're just talking about this stuff as much as possible to try and get you ready to win. Ryan, what is the matchup or start sit decision or whatever? What's the one thing that you're sweating the most this week for your fantasy teams?
The one thing I was sweating this week the most is Jonathan Taylor being good. he got me there. He got my best ball teams there, and now he had the worst possible situation fall into his lap. So I'm going to be very concerned about what he's going to do. I do want to mention to Ray with the empty spot. Look forward to next week. Look at the defensive matchups. Pick up a defense for next week. I think that's more high upside than getting ahead of, Jerry Jeudy or Jaden Reed. If you don't have a Seattle or a Cleveland, look forward to picking someone up. So that's my last piece of advice I'll give the show.
That's a great one. I would also say check out in 1QB leagues, check out your quarterback matchups for the rest of the season. Maybe there's someone you can pick up who can maybe Brock Purdy was dropped and was never picked up. You got a couple of options there. Mariota could still be out there. Maybe somebody dropped him. So just check it out and maybe grab one of those as well. I agree with you. That's a better option than kind of the backup wide receiver. If you don't have a backup running back available to you, I'll absolutely go out after an extra D or quarterback. Jamie, you do that, sir. We'll be there 4 Eastern just after they get out of school. The middle schoolers will join us on TikTok. All wholesome over there, just fantasy content, I promise. So that's enough of this. Thanks for joining us here. I'm Jeremy. This is Ryan. We are Just the Ranks. We are here every single, whatever day it is today, Thursday, talking to you about our rankings for the entire week. I do it on Fantasy Pros. Ryan's going to be approved, so he'll officially be on Fantasy Pros, but he's in the approval program, so he'll officially be on there next year. You can check out all our rankings there. You can check out all our rankings right here on this show. And like I said, if you do enjoy this content, please follow along. We appreciate it. So that's it from me. That's it from Ryan. We'll see you next time. Good luck in your playoff matchups.
Adjust the ranks is most obliged to your patronage. Should you wish to imbibe future content via your auditory and/or ocular cavities, do offer your clicks of approval and subscription.